Gizmo.
He's around here somewhere. I hear him meowing.
Okay,
And
well, I
he
know
already-
he's showing up.
Yeah, he already had his breakfast, so, no. How's everybody in the rain and humidness?
No rain here, a lot of humidity.
We didn't have rain last night, but did get a good rain Thursday night, which was very much needed, and I'm glad.
Yes, it really was.
Mhm.
It's amazing how green everything is now.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hey,
Linda, did you get hacked again that you had to change your email?
No, that I don't know why that came out just recently again, because it's the same. No,
Oh, okay.
thank you, God, no.
Yeah, my email has changed recently too, and it's a challenge to get everybody informed. And then if you don't notice, when you start to write something, it'll pick up an old address and use that, and then you realize, dang, you know.
Well, and I think for everybody who's got groups of emails,
Yeah.
if you don't go in and specifically change that, then the person just doesn't get notified of what's happening, and that's happened a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's so nice and easy to have those groups.
Yes.
good morning, Margaret.
Good morning.
Margaret.
Hillary.
Good morning.
Margaret.
Morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, everybody.
Boy, I must need to clean this.
Margaret, you are a blur.
I know. I don't know. Maybe I just need to move to a different chair.
Mhm.
Good morning, Donna.
Something.
There are days when I
Linda?
feel like a blur.
I need to clean
Hi,
up.
Hillary.
Morning.
Good morning, Rosemary.
Good morning. Hi, Mary. Hi, Hillary. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mary.
Nancy. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Morning.
Hi, Cheryl. Christine.
Mary Root.
Mary.
You guys all remember Romper Stomper Bumper Do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me, do. I see Anita. I said, do you remember that?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh,
You
Anita's
always
gonna say
hoped they would call your name.
I don't know how to get.
Oh, Winnie, I'm sorry. Do you want to get up here? Hand.
Someday we should just have a play date for all of the pets who join us and keep us sane.
Come on. There you go.
Rita, did you say that keep us sane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or drive us crazy.
Yeah, there's a it's a both end.
Exactly.
In the category of too much information, I'm going to be changing litter box routines today, boys and girls.
Oh, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
That is TMI, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a tricky one sometimes.
Cats would be so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I can't believe she told people.
Oh, it's not her litter box, Donna.
Oh.
Well, Diane of the Holy Heart, how nice to see you.
Thank you.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Oh,
My heart is no longer holy.
Oh,
Are you talking about getting the pacemaker or are you making a joke?
I was making a joke. It was something we used to say in the novitiate. We used to say, greet people of the Holy Heart. Yeah.
But it's not a joke, eh?
No, yeah.
No, I got a surprise. I had to get an emergency pacemaker.
oh dear.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. When
How
was
long
that?
ago was that, Diane?
about a month ago.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
well, hope it's going well.
Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. Wow.
So far, so good.
Good, good.
So you are of the Holy Heart.
Yes.
New age?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
We're like the faulty wiring heart.
Well, how are you feeling though?
Pretty good. There's some movement restrictions that are kind of a drag, but I'm a little bit tired, but I'm doing okay.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Thank you.
Do you have to postpone
Yes, it
your,
is.
did you have to postpone your triathlon, Dan?
Yeah, and trying out for the Olympics is probably a no, so.
Luckily, they're gonna cancel it anyway, so, you know.
Yeah, right. Just tell them that was COVID related.
Yeah, right, right.
Those darn
Blame
movers.
everything on that.
And hi, Nancy. Yes, you, Nancy. Hello.
Hi, Nancy Davis.
Hi, Nancy.
Earl.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Pearl.
Hey,
Greetings, greetings. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Rosie.
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 Hey, Jill.
You all.
Donna.
Well, we should
Arlene.
probably get started.
Yes.
Hopefully everybody's comfortable given today's lovely weather. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone today and thank you again for making time in your Saturday for spending with us. And I'd like to extend a special welcome to the sisters and a reminder to everybody that today's session is going to be the same as May 11th, just in case you're tuning in to expect some kind of cliffhanger or suspense. Everybody is more than welcome. And I would like to remind folks that you are also more than welcome to submit your feedback in writing. Sometimes people like to listen a couple of times before they offer their feedback. So please feel free to do that. I am offering, as you can tell, a little welcome and overview and purpose today. Donna Howard is going to be our facilitator, and Anita Ducour will be what we term the spotter. She will be looking out for people's hands that are raised, either actually raised or using the little hand gesture, and put those people in the chat. And as we go along, the questions that we'll be working with will be put in the chat as well. And just to review our little Zoom etiquette piece, if we could practice an economy of words and hear from everybody, there may be times where we may need to open it up and to hear from people that we haven't heard from. And also, please represent your buddy. If you have a buddy in the buddy system, we would love to hear from them. And everybody is really good at keeping their camera on for the interpersonal interaction. And you may want to, unless you're speaking, you may want to mute because it just helps with the background noise and any echoing. And then with all affection and thoughtfulness, I just want to relay that with respect to the sisters, this is really important to have consociate participation. And so to ensure that most consociates are heard, we may look to them for speaking first. It is just, and then go to the sisters. Again, the sisters, thank you so much for being here. It's just a kind of a matter of, prioritizing. So I thank you in advance for understanding. And then throughout the morning, we meaning the committee, Anita, me, Karen, and Peg will also chime in every once in a while to help Donna with kind of keeping on track to make sure we can bring folks back. So now that that is out of the way, the purpose, just as a reminder, kind of to ground us back into what this is all about. Our strategic framework purpose is an initiative. Well, the strategic framework process is an initiative of the Consociate Council, and this information will help shape the consortium for the next 3 to 5 years. We want to build a vibrant and engaged consociate spiritual community by strengthening existing relationships, and in the spirit of sharing of the heart and order of the house, we've been conducting these listening sessions to reach out to one another. And we also have the purpose to live out the Consociate Spirit Statement as defined by our unique St. Paul Province values. So that's why we review that as we go through these. Again, a little bit of grounding. Our planning assumptions as well, just to share with you, is that every consociate has in mind to live up the Consociate Spirit Statement, and that every consociate lives out the congregational and the St. Paul Province directives within the CSJ community, as well as living them outside of the CSJ community in their own life as they are called. Every consociate is called together for the life of the world, striving to be beacons of hope in accordance to the congregational chapter directions. And as we wind up this planning process, we will draft a plan based on the feedback from these sessions and based on feedback from surveys to put together community strategic framework in the context of the CSJ community and larger community. So you can look forward to that. And today will be a sharing of the heart approach. And we look forward to June sessions, which will be kind of pulling the last 2 months together and looking at the state of our house and identifying the elements that will move us forward into the future. So with that, I thank you again, and I turn it over to Anita for the sharing of the Consociate Spirit Statement as we open.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Jill, for the kind of grounding us all with our foundation and the purpose of why we're here. I always am thrilled when we start our meetings by reading the Consociate Spirit Statement that was drafted and approved many, many years ago, because to me, from my standpoint, it speaks to who we are and what we are all about. And so it's just a wonderful grounding. So with that, our Consociate Spirit Statement. Stimulated by the Holy Spirit, we move in communion with the Sisters of St. Joseph and Consociates toward profound love of God and neighbor without distinction. We are fire builders, inspiring and supporting one another to bring forth our gifts. The source of our flame is the everlasting love of God. We are peacemakers engaged in a troubled world, confronting unjust systems of power. Although we are challenged and tested, we seek to be authentic, vulnerable, grateful, and hopeful persons. We are co-creators of a loving community of courageous leaders and collaborators. We commit to living the prophetic mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph and embrace the challenges of living right relations. With sincere prayer, we call on holy wisdom to guide our every step.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here this morning and taking time out of your weekend. It really speaks to interest in the topic as well as commitment to wanting to gather information as we move into next steps. So I just want to say that there was an email a while ago regarding those that are in discernment for leadership of the consortium, and I want to welcome you as equal participants as well. And we really hope to hear from as many folks as possible. And so I want to, as any good teacher, challenge you to step out of your comfort zone. If you're one that tends to listen and not speak, I encourage you to speak up. And if you're one that likes to speak a lot, to maybe make some room for other folks as well. So with that, I think you received the email with the questions. We'll also put them in the chat. And we have, just so you know, about 20 minutes designated for each question. But we have some flexibility there. So what is our consociate commitment in the context of the CSJ community, living out mission plus charism in relationship and pursuit of unifying love? How can we refresh our shared commitments? And we really want to stress the we in this. This is looking at the consortium as a group, as a community. And so as we think about that collectively, maybe even more so than just individually. So I'm going to just open it up for thoughts and responses to that big question. Who wants to start us off? Kathleen, go ahead.
Well, I was just inspired to listen to the last recording just last night and then this morning of the first session of this Dreaming Our Future. And I see that some of you folks were attending that one as well. So my thoughts on this, that's a very long question and I get lost in a bit of the words just because I'm kind of a different kind of learner or a different, I come at things differently. So I think as far as commitment goes, how do we look at our values? Can you just kind of thinking a lot of thoughts.
Thank you, Kathleen. That's true. It is a long question. I also want to mention one thing. Rather than going around and doing introductions, because we see everyone's name on the screen, but if you could share whether you're a consociate or a candidate and maybe what year you entered major commitment or in discernment. So really, let's focus on how can we refresh our shared commitments?
Okay, with that, I'll just say I'm Kathleen, and I made my commitment in 2003, and I'm currently on the Consociate Leadership Collaborative as the ritual and events person that will continue on with the new team that is discerning at this time.
Thank you so much.
And as far as the living out our mission, I love the images folks came up with. Peeling potatoes, Gene Winzig talked about. I spent the whole afternoon or morning and afternoon in Stillwater yesterday with Mary Louise, and we just went through every person in the book as a consociate and just kind of held them in our arms and in prayer, like who are they and how can we build more relationship with them? And that's, I feel that this time of COVID has been tough because I'm a real people person and I've gotten a lot of fatigue around what this Zoom has offered, even though it's been a wonderful technology. I long to be together again, and how to do that. I look forward to opportunities. And just two that I can think of, if anyone wants to join me at 12:30 today, I'm going to be in St. Paul at Gloria Day Lutheran Church parking lot for a Showbiz Table. It's a food truck, pay as you can, and it's their friend raiser. And I've been volunteering there a little bit lately because my former boss is involved, and it's a beautiful ministry. So I'd love to have anybody in St. Paul join me over there just for fun, just to see you outside. And then on Monday, I want to make sweet potato pies. So if anybody wants to talk about that, but those are just two things. If you want to get together with me, I'd love to be with you as friends.
Okay, thank you.
Donna, Kate has her hand up as well as Mary Root.
Okay, thanks. And Kathleen, thank you and Mary Louise, thank you for that work of going through the directory and holding us up. That's really thoughtful. I love it. Okay, Kate, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Kate O'Connell. I started discerning in 2005 and made my commitment in 2007. And I am discerning leadership along with a group of wonderful women. And the way that I've always seen the consortium, the way that it's played out in my life, and is kind of the way that the sisters, the way that I understood the way the sisters work, that they started out with, they went out to the city and they saw what they saw, and they came back together and they shared what they saw, and together they figured out ways to support the work that each person was doing. So it was, and then when they came together, they went out again. So in some ways I just see this as a living, breathing organism, that we are all out in different places in the city and in our lives too. I mean, I'm watching parents figuring out, things that they need to do as a parent. So, and I'm not necessarily going to be in that household, but I want to support the work that is being done in that household. So I feel like we are very much called, we're very much sent out in the places that we go. And the charism comes with us. I tried to keep them separate. I'm a consociate and now I'm a worker, but that didn't work so well because the charism is stronger than that. And I so appreciate it. I mean, the charism changed my life, and I just bring that with me everywhere I go. So, so I think that kind of happens with all of us, that we're all sent, and where each of us is where the charism lives. So the way that I would like to be able to do more of that is to support the work that people are doing, and to understand more about each other's lives. What are we doing? Where are we? And that image of holding each other up, that's beautiful, and having the information about where everybody is. I want to hear people's stories. So that's me.
Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you. And it brings up in the context of our lives as well. Yeah. Okay, Mary Root.
Mary Root, you're muted.
I'm speaking both for myself and my buddy. We had the same answer. We'd like to see a series of the Tuesday sharing of the heart, but this time using the phrases or sentences in the visionary framework and shared commitments and talking about them, maybe instead of using the poem, but keeping the Tuesday structure. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That's really good, concrete feedback. Awesome, thanks. Carlene? Oh, and Mary, do you want to say, just real quick, do you want to say our consociate and year?
I'm a consociate. I became a consociate last year.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for representing your buddy as well. Carlene?
Excuse me. I've got a couple of things. In thinking about this last night, it entered my mind sort of this vague thing about who we are and or maybe how we're going to be or whatever. I can't really put my finger on it. But it will. I'm wondering if it will depend on what the sisters decide to be as far as being congregational or province, because I see our fitting into that differently, depending on what they choose to be. Just a thought. The other part is, I agree with Kate that we can't separate being consociates from and the charism from being wherever we are, because it comes with us. So and the other part is that I'm thinking is that we have to be as a whole, we are relational and we've always been relational and we've enjoyed the relational part of it, of being together, of praying together, of sharing the heart, all of that kind of stuff, and happenings, and that's wonderful. We also now are being asked to actually step forward, step into it. Yeah, that it, to be doers and not just beers. And I'm not saying that we don't have doers and never have, but I think as a consortium as a whole, we're being asked to be more doers along with being the beers.
Okay, great. Thanks, Carlene. And also that that reference to kind of waiting to see whether sisters are going to go with provincial or congregational leadership. I'm assuming that's what you meant by wait to see what the sisters do. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, my point is, associates, consociates, whatever they're called out there, all relate differently and are looked at differently depending on who they are and what their province or whatever is. And so as a congregation, if we're part of the congregation, we'll be looked at a lot differently.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And that relational piece as well. And I like that, doers versus beers. Okay, Louise. Oh, Carlene, can you mention the year you made your commitment?
Oh, I made my commitment in 2000. I'm a consociate 2004. I've been mostly involved with grandmother circles. I'm sort of drawing back on that now and letting others take part. So,
Great.
But I'm still part of it.
Great, thank you. All right, Louise, how about you?
Yeah, hi there. I'm Louise. I made my commitment. I'm a consociate and I made my commitment in 2015.
All right.
I've been involved in a variety of things. Recently, the Education and Spiritual Development Committee of the CLC. But here's my thought. First of all, I wanted to commend Kathleen for her idea of the sweet potato pies. I was on Healing Our City when the woman spoke about that, and I thought that was a really good, concrete kind of way to share our love with one another. And then what I was thinking about last night kind of goes along with what others have said, basically the relational piece. I really miss that. That's what sustained me. And we need to find a way back to we got such joy from being together and sitting at the tables of different people and getting to know people. And so that was one part of it. And then I thought, you know, I've always, in other places and other organizations I've been in the past, developed such a more closeness with people when you work on some special project that's, you know, an outreach together. And I'm assuming that's kind of what Grandmother's Circle was, but I would like to see something that, you know, is unique to the consortium, that is related to justice, justice work, whatever that might be. So maybe it's even something like visiting the sisters at the Carondelet Village. I think about that and how isolated they must have been during this past year. So, all right, that's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, that relational piece, that's really a cool idea. Mhm. All right. Thanks, Louise. Beryl, go ahead.
Yes, I agree with what everyone said, especially the part about relational and missing people, seeing people's faces, sitting around the table with sisters and other consociates. Wow, I just miss that so much. So I'm Beryl, and I'm been a consociate since 2002, and I am part of the pastoral care working group. And I have a very active and life-giving Sharing the Heart group that we meet regularly for 2 hours a month. I'm interested in these days in critical issues of homelessness. I'm doing some work with St. Stephen's, and yesterday fed a number of homeless persons through the Resource Center on 17th in Chicago with Catholic Charities. I just think there's so much. And for me, the sisters are the building blocks of everything we do in our personal life, professional life, and with the sisters. And I personally, while I'm still well, look forward to, I'm just thinking back, going to the United Nations for a week with consociates and sisters, post Katrina, going to help after that horrible disaster. And more recently, a number of us were signed up to go on the mission trip to El Paso, and that canceled. So some of those big pieces, I just want to be helpful and hopeful in making a change there. And so I think this dreaming, where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, and is so important. But I care about all of you. I care about the sisters. I often say to people, this is the one best thing I've given myself as a gift in my life. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. That's great. We have a few more minutes for this question, if anyone wants to jump in. And I'm not opposed to calling on people as well, if that's okay with you.
Fran wants to speak, Donna.
Who does?
Fran.
Fran, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm Fran Rusciano Murnane, and I made my commitment as a consociate in 2006. My commitment is personal, but only as it functions and draws life from community, from a loving, intelligent, committed, justice-seeking community of teachers and leaders and followers. I listened to some of Carol Zinn last night, and she talked about charism. And what she said makes me want to learn a lot more. She said, we don't own the charism. It chooses us. And she also said, sorry, that's one of my clocks, that in Rome, when one of the religious organizations goes out of business, so to speak, the charism is kept on the books for 100 years.
Wow.
That's okay. So we need to know a lot more about charism, it seems to me. I'm also a discerner for leadership of the collaborative, and I love the name collaborative because it is a collaboration. It's not a hierarchy. It's a collaboration of people who want to do good things for the consortium, which is so important at this point in time, and that the sisters look to us for certain things. So I need community. I'm a clear introvert with learned behavior, so I can function in a highly extroverted world. Andrea, I see you shaking your head. And And learned behaviors are good things, but I'm wired as an introvert. So this time of COVID-19 maybe hasn't been as hard on me as it has on some people, because I'm always in my head. So I'm not alone. It's always moving and thinking and sometimes way too much. But at any rate, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I think that I need, at this time in my life, I think more than ever, for whatever reasons, some of which I recognize and some of which will continue to reveal themselves, I need community. I need community, but I need this community because this is the one I've invested in. And I am so filled with love, and I've always been that way, kind of thinking about, oh, well, what would that decision, how would that impact others? Not all, I mean, not perfect, God knows, but anyways, so as we peel the potatoes, whether they're sweet potatoes or russets, this is where I'm meant to be at this time and in this place. And so sending love to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. You know, you are among many who has brought up the Carol Zinn talk on charism. I'm almost wondering if we should do that as a program so everybody can be on the same page and have a discussion about it. But okay, so Cheryl, your hand was up and you unraised it. I'm going to call on you, and then Linda.
Okay, if we have enough time, I wondered if we had enough time.
Fine. We're flexible.
Okay. Cheryl Barrett, I became a Consociate in 2013, and also I in some ways feel like it was 2007 because that's when I became director of Sarah's, or sure. when I began working at Sarah's with Maggie Kwasnicka, the first 3 years, she was director and transitioned. And I love everything that has been said today. Lots of great ideas, and I've wanted to be a listener for the most part, because I think I talked a lot last time. But I just wanted to contribute that I'm mindful, especially as a discerner for the CLC, to think about ways that we should continue to have some ways to connect virtually, or at least semi-virtually. I crave very much the in-person, but also recognize that it has increased my participation to be able to join this way. Like a call this morning was so much easier than if I had to be in person. I'm not sure that I could always do that on a Saturday morning. And also like people joining us from Hawaii and things like that are just have been just amazing during these times. So that's what I wanted to just throw that piece in.
Absolutely, yeah. How will our experience of COVID change our ways of doing things? Linda.
I'm Linda Crosby, and I've been a Consociate since 2003. And my sister companion, Nancy Davis, is here. Happy to see you, Nance. I'm wondering, how can we learn the charism better so that it refreshes us?
Oh, nice.
Briefly, I mean, I never expected to be in the position that I'm in at this point in my life. And I'm sure many, many, many of us could say that, certainly with COVID and any other things that are going on with people. And so, as people have said, you know, the charism is within us, and we live it based on the context of our lives and experience. And so for me to realize that while I'm still active in some Consociate things, because as you say, we can do them by Zoom or whatever at the moment, many of the other things that I did are gone because can't do them, primarily due to COVID. My son is pretty well, so I can't use that as an excuse. But I have to keep remembering that in whatever sphere I'm in, the charism still lives.
Mhm.
No matter how confined I am or broadened my life is or whatever, the charism still lives. So I wanna try to figure out how it is that it continues to refresh me. And I'm sure that the sisters would have marvelous stories about that because they have lived it for years and years and years and gone through many upheavals and changes and found themselves saying, okay, I'm still me. I still have the charism within me and I continue. And of course, all of that is really foundationally supported by community.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that question. How can we learn the charism better so it refreshes us? That is brilliant. I love it. Okay, Rosie, one last comment and then we'll move on to the next question.
Sure, thank you. I just thought I would put in a word from a candidate. I'm a candidate.
Great. Can you speak up a little bit? We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, first year candidate, is that better?
It's still not real loud, but that's okay.
All
Best
right.
you can.
I'll pull myself closer.
Okay.
See if that helps. Okay, I'm a first year candidate, and just the idea of community is what brought me here. And however, this year has been hard because all of our meetings have been on Zoom. So I'm longing to explore the charism with others, and I'm anxious to do that. And it's really nice to be in a group of other consociates just to meet you. And I guess that's all I'm going to say for right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for weighing in as a candidate. We appreciate that. All right. Any final comments or framing before we go to the next question? Jill, Anita, Peg? Did I see?
Great feedback.
Okay.
So, and we heard from a lot of voices that we haven't heard from before. So this is really this is the point of our meeting today. So that's great. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who has shared so far.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the second question. We'll pop it in chat. What are our values? How do we live our values as a consociate community that bring us together? And what is it we want to commit to? Again, as a community, do I have the right question? What is it we want to commit to as a community? Yep, we just switched it around. So that's the question, and then a little more context. How do we live our values as a consociate community that brings us together? What are our values as a consortium? Can you think of examples? Some of this has already come up. So, and would love to hear from more folks. What is it we want to commit to as a community? Diane.
You'd think I know how to work Zoom after all these months.
Got it.
I keep thinking about what sounds to me like the beginning of such a vibrant community in Kenya. And how over all those thousands of miles could we incorporate them more closely? I mean, does this mean we have a capital campaign and get them some Zoom computer equipment? And I don't want to be all colonial about it, I just think that having a perspective from another part of the world would just be so beneficial to us.
That is really powerful. And I think we can acknowledge and use our privilege without being colonial.
Okay. And then I just have a practical suggestion. I live at Carondelet Village, and there are opportunities here if you want to come in and give a couple of hours. I mean, they're always looking for folks to staff the gift shop. There's a library committee. They need people to water the plants. You know, it's like if you have 2 or 3 hours a month that you don't know what to do with, and be in the middle of the sisters, I would really urge you to contact Megan Constantini, who's the volunteer director here.
Is the what director, Diane?
The volunteer director.
I think that is fabulous. And if we could even get a list from her or from you and she working together to put that out, I'm sure we could find people to do that. I would love to do that personally. So, and then that Kenya piece, wow, that's really powerful. Thank you so much. And Diane, just for the record, when did you make your commitment?
Oh, I made my commitment in 2001. So this was my Jubilee year.
Yay. All right.
Yay.
Congratulations. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. I'm just looking at chat. How do we tell each other about the things we're doing and invite each other in? Kate O'Connell, great. Yeah, that's a really good point. And a great example. So thank you for the concreteness of that. I'd love to water plants. That'd be awesome. Okay. Who else?
Rita.
Rita.
Hand up.
There you are in the corner at the pond.
Yeah. I had said to myself, now you're going to listen today, Rita, but you know, extroverts.
You constrained yourself very well.
Extroverts have a hard time. But two things that other people mentioned, I want to sound out. And one, Diane, interestingly enough, I made my commitment in 2005, and I am a discerner, and I've spent a lot of time on the forum lately. And I was looking at those beautiful faces of those candidates, a whole community in Kenya, as you say, and they are amazing people, father of 8, mother of 4 working on her degree, you know, and so I thanks for putting that into words and as a challenge to us, Diane. I think that would be really, really important to have them be a part of us in all of these ways in which we're finding nourishment, that they need that and are asking that of us. There were other communities that they've known that wooed them, but they didn't, they chose us. So I think we can respond to them. And of course, now I'm being of an age, I forgot what my other point was, so I'll just shut up until it comes to me.
Come back when you remember it, no problem. Okay. Yeah, I love that we're getting some really concrete examples here that we can do. We can try to figure out how to do. All right. What is it we want to commit to as a community? Other folks.
Sorry, I remembered.
Okay, do it.
And it was, it seems to me that, you know, we've been talking about trying to collaborate and be more diverse and go outside of ourselves and let other people lead and offer our gifts more humbly, rather as the ones with all the ideas. And I think I have seen a lot of your beautiful faces on Healing Our City. And for me, that was a way to enter into a very, very different expressions of theology, very different expressions of involvement. And so it was both humbling and inspiring. And I think maybe find more ways, if we find more ways to do that, for us to be the newbies or the learners in situations, that would be you know, yeah, we would get over our St. Paul exceptionalism, I guess, if we joined other groups that way. As boy, do we have something to learn from you.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, and both within the consortium as far as more interaction with the folks in Kenya, and then across in with other provinces, where both of those ideas came up, which I really appreciate. Thank you.
And Kathy is got her hand up in the corner.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen, so I really like this idea of getting re-energized, but what charism is to us and what does it mean to other people like the Kenyans or to the diverse communities in the Twin Cities. And I think just like having discussions around that or doing artwork around that or whatever, that would be really energizing for me, and it creates a, I guess, more expansive understanding of what we think about when we think about charism.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. Yes. Okay. All right.
Donna, Mary
Your-
Root has her
your-
hand up.
Your thing says Consociate Services. Do you want to, Kathy?
Yeah, sorry. I'm Kathy Cleats, and I just became a consociate this May. And I also work in the office part-time, except I'm working from up north for
Good
a
for
while.
you. I'm jealous. That's awesome. Okay, and we receive, it's nice to put a face to the email name that we see often. So thank you so much. Okay, I'm sorry, who, Mary, was it Mary Root?
Mary Root.
Yes, thank you.
One of our values is dealing with our racism, partly by learning about racism in this country. An example would be the pilot program of studying and putting into practice the material in my grandmother's hands. Studying our grandmother's hands together brings us together as we live this value. And we want to commit to loving our neighbors by dealing with racism individually and corporately.
Fantastic. You really did your homework, Mary. I'm impressed.
And Marlon wants to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of the original sisters and the concept of dividing up the city and imagining how they sat at their table in the evening and talked about the needs in the different areas, and not knowing, whether there were other people doing the same thing. But when I think about that today, I get overwhelmed with the needs of our city. And I know that there are so many different groups doing so many different things. But I would like to see us sometime just sit down and do a lot of brainstorming as a community. I think we're all doing things in our individual lives, that things that we connect to, that, are in our immediate neighborhood. But I'd like to take that concept of us dividing the city and just focus on what we can do now, in the same way that, our own sisters here in St. Paul have done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Marin. And what year did you make your commitment?
I became a consociate in 2015.
Thank you. Thank you. And there's a lot there. I think what would that look like practically to divide the city? How would we do it? Who would we need to engage in order to do that and to collaborate within the, again, I loved your phrase, Rita, getting over our exceptionalist mentality and thinking and working with folks that are already doing work in all these places in the city. So that's a big question, I think. How would we do that? Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, other folks? Am I missing anybody? Sandy, do you want to add anything with your thumbs up?
I was just going to piggyback what Maren was saying about there's so many, I was thinking along in the line of organizations to deal with racism in our cities. Anyway, I listened to NPR and they were advertising Angela Davis is having a show at noon Wednesday, May 26th, which is about all the different organizations that are headed, many by Black people and how they're helping the city or what they're doing and I thought, like Sandra Samuels and the North Side Achievement Zone. I know there's just so many organizations out there like that I just am not familiar with or don't know the work that they do. And maybe there are ways that we could support them, but we don't know about them. And I know we get a lot of emails. Thank you very much, Kate, for different organizations, but I would really look forward to this NPR show where it's all gathered together in one setting. Okay, what is available, so yeah, I'm just gonna give you just wanted you to know about that.
Thank
show
you.
that's coming to
Appreciate
NPR.
that. Yeah, there's so much going on, and I wanted to add an event and I can send the link, but Reflections and Healing on Racism with a former colleague of mine, Siobhan Johnson, as well as Pastor Rosalind Harmon, Wednesday, 4 to 6. So at St. Kate's, we have an inclusive excellence calendar of events that are going on all over the country, I guess. So I wonder if we could get connected with that, because that would also bring us a lot of resources. I'll make another comment regarding that after we hear from Marcia and Suzanne.
Thanks. I'm Marcia, and I live in St. Paul, and I'm a candidate along with Rosie, and I saw Margot here, so we're all the first year, I guess we're second year candidates, Andrea?
Right. Great.
Yeah, second year candidates, now it's May. Okay. Thank you. So as soon as, and I don't remember who first said this, dividing the city, my concrete brain went to divide the city, like, in St. Paul, the neighborhood. So Highland, Mac Groveland,
right.
Phelan, East Side, West. I mean, I kind of went to that. And then I thought, wait a minute. We already have this done. If you look at like the work of the Justice Commission, would it make more sense to think in terms of, environmental work? What's happening with, that? The confronting whiteness and racism. There's a, so the divisions along what the Justice Commission is already doing and not physical. So I don't know, I think it was Maren, you said that, that way of thinking through things, because that would match the values that at least I see at this point, that are important to this community. And there might be some things that are left out. And things often fit in different ways, but at least that might be some way to think about all the different things that are happening. So that just popped into my head.
Okay, so thinking topically versus geographically.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.
I was just going to say the same thing as Marcia said. We have the CSJ Justice Commission, which can include sisters, but there are many, many consociates involved in the Justice Commission and all of the working groups. I don't know how many different working groups we have, but in terms of dividing the city, in terms of the issues, that are covered in all of these. As I say, I don't know how many working groups there are, but I think there's 10 or something
Yeah,
like
10 or
that.
12 around there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Great. Great.
I mean, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel when we have this in our.
Mhm. I guess my question would be, are we then still reaching the geographical, all the geographical locations that we want to when we say divide the city? So a both end of the topics as well as, or are we saying we're just going to look at environmental issues in this part of the city? We're going to look at racism in this part of the city. You know what I mean? Is it a both and or an either or? When you're thinking about that, Marcia and Suzanne, when you're thinking about the topical versus geographical. You know what I mean?
Louise has her hand up,
Louise?
and then Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to say anything this time, but I got prompted by what Suzanne and Marcia were saying, because I guess in reference to what Donna just talked about. So I live in Anoka, which is a very far out place from in many different ways from Minneapolis. And I recently had experience with trying, the city council here decided to disband the Human Rights Council. And I spoke up about that and I helped with a petition, but I felt very much alone in doing that. So I guess I think it would be nice to expand some of our reach more geographically. I suppose there could be some negative things to that, but I'm just saying we need to, like, Minnesota 350.org, they send out a representative to some of the outskirts communities to start chapters. And I don't know, I mean, these are just things that I'm throwing out there, but I think we need to expand what we've got in St. Paul in a geographical way, maybe with all those topics, maybe with one or other that people from the Justice Commission are interested in. So just a brainstormed idea. I don't have the details of how it would work out, but
yeah. No,
yeah.
thank you. And also we divide the city in where we live, right? And so you saying, I live in Anoka, hey, we need resources here, would also be a way that we could do that. Thank you. Hillary.
Hi, I'm a very first year candidate and I just wanted to listen today because I really don't know enough to speak. But as you talked about the various groups, I live in Grand Marais.
Oh, right.
But I also have a place at Crondelet Village. So I do the reverse of everybody. Crondelet Village is kind of my urban cabin and I live full-time here and do justice work actually in both places.
Wow.
But what I was going to say is that there's such a complexity of organizations that, for example, there's not only Healing Our City, but there's the Stair Step Foundation with Alfred Babington. I mean, there's a myriad of organizations and each one has a different lens. What I wonder about as you develop justice work, I've always felt it's interesting to hear the different lenses because when Sandra Samuels, who I know was speaking the other day, she asked if Black Lives Matter, where are the people for the children who have just been shot? And so there are so many different, the Healing Justice Foundation, which has done some great forums and white folks are allowed to listen via Facebook and Zoom is just for people within the BIPOC community. So there are so many different voices that, and because it's not my community per se, I find it useful to know and listen to the many voices to begin to think about how do I think about this issue? And that's all I want to say. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And thanks for speaking up. Really appreciate that and welcome. Yeah, I just wanted to add, I'm associated with the St. Paul Foundation's Facing Race initiative, and had the privilege of being on the selection committee for the awards coming up, and 56 applications, and the different organizations that were revealed in that, things I'd never heard about, and individuals that of course I hadn't been introduced to. So if you think about all the organizations that collectively we know about that are doing justice work on various topics, wow. And if we have connections rather than just imposing ourselves, but there are genuine ways to connect, that would be unbelievable. All right, this is awesome, awesome concrete examples. Let's move into our last question.
Barbara Kellett, I think, has something to say.
Oh, well, let's hear from Barbara. I don't.
It is part of the last question.
Hi, Barbara.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh,
it is part of what I'm about to say has to do with the last question as well.
Oh, good. Great transition.
And I'm glad when the thought, well, let me start again. I'm Barbara Kellett, and I crossed the threshold in 2005, and now I serve on the Sisters Leadership Council and am involved with Wisdom Ways, and also studying anti-racism.
Uh-oh, your mic.
You can't hear me?
Try again, Barbara.
Let me just double check something here.
We heard up to you serve on the council.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay. Project, Barbara. Is that better?
Yes, great.
All right. Served on the council as well as Wisdom Ways, and involved in anti-racism book group, and participated in Grandmother Hands. The other, but what I really want to get to, the thought came in with the beautiful invitation from Kathleen at the very beginning of our work in terms of Gloria Dei. And I'm glad I didn't say anything, because I now have a list of things. And what I want to say is this. We build relationships through committee work, through volunteering, through assemblies, and even now through Zoom. I'm getting to know these wonderful inquirers and candidates. And some can't do this because they might be out of state, out of the country, caregivers for partners, whatever they are. But it's all of these ways are beautiful ways of connecting and getting to know one another. And what about fun? How do we have fun with each other? What bars do we want to go to?
There you go.
Or what movies? And I just want to share that I belong to a church, First Universalist in South Minneapolis, that for many years has what they call a cyber coffee hour. And the cyber coffee hour allows any member to put on the screen whatever they want. There's several hundred people involved. There's a moderator who makes sure everybody's appropriate. But, you know, if someone said, I'm going to a movie this weekend now that we're coming out of COVID, would anyone like to meet me there?
Yes.
And that's one way. And another way is, okay, how many of us could watch the Carol Zinn video, and let's have a discussion on this chat that we are forming. Another thought that came in was Donna's invitation to, I think it was Wednesday evening. You could put that on this notice. See, rapid relay, we can't do that. Rapid relay is restricted. And this would just be a free flowing, hey, this is happening. Anybody want to come? Another, the Corandalet Village volunteer effort. And why not other ministries that might need volunteers? But we don't see that in a general way. So I'm just suggesting that there might be, and there might be some legal restrictions that I don't know about. I just know I'm a part of a group that has functioned highly well for many years with this kind of free flow back and forth. So it's something to consider and look into, I would think.
Absolutely. Love it. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I just said that's the thought for now, and it's so good to be with you all.
Yeah.
Even Zoom is better than nothing. So
Right.
take care, everyone.
Thank you, Barbara. That is brilliant. I love it. So those personal invitations to building community, as well as ways that we could be working, as you said, volunteering or committee work, all those ways that we build community, and as well as educational opportunities. Yeah. So what would that look like? What would it be? A Facebook page? Would it be a how does it work? I'm curious. How do you get the word out in your church community, Barbara, for those events?
Everyone is invited to participate, and they just give their email, and they become part of a group email. It's all email, and it's not face-to-face or FaceTime.
So why couldn't we do that through the Consociate email? Could we do that? Is that what you're suggesting?
I see, Andrea. I don't know how. I just want to give the idea, and the leadership can kind of massage how.
Okay.
And also look at drawbacks,
Right.
So
Okay, that's a wonderful thing to explore, because, if it's for spontaneous, we get the email every so often, Kathy, from you, thank you, and Andrea. But if it's spontaneous, like I'm going to Urban Growler, who's joining me, then how would we get the word out on those things? So something to explore. Thank you. All right, that's a great segue into our final question. If somebody, if you have great invitations that you'd like to extend to fellow consociates, you could also submit them to the Consociate email, and Kathy can include them. Okay, so that's a great point, but it's weekly. So how do we include those more spontaneous events, like personal invitations or protests or things that just come up more frequently than weekly? So let's add that to our lists of things to explore. Can somebody put the final question in the chat? And it is, how could we embody or enflesh more of a community built upon relationships? Exactly what you brought us into, Barbara, and some other folks have already mentioned. What's the glue for engagement and inclusion? All right, Ann Shields.
Hi.
Hi.
I also participated in May, and I really liked this question, and I'll just kind of repeat it again a little bit. I can't repeat my thoughts because they ramble. They come out in different ways each time, but I really like that idea, that glue that holds us together. And at the last meeting, there were a number of sisters there, and one of them, Sister Linda Napier, was there, and she said she was really looking forward to seeing us all again. So it really resonated with me, that suggestion that we really, Diane, thank you for letting me know what I think is really the case, is that Carondelet Village could really use help. And I want to say that I was over there yesterday because I brought Mary O'Brien, who's my sister companion and who's 96 years old. I brought her a pink rose and we planted it in her garden. And after I got done, I had lunch in the bistro and I saw sisters, and I just really, it was like homecoming for me, to kind of see so many people. I ran into Andrea there. But on my way out the door, there was beautiful, tall, skinny Linda Napier, and I had wanted to give her a hug, and I gave her first thing. We get a big, long embrace together. And I'm just saying, a lot of the energy of of me becoming a consociate has to do with the sisters, right? We are affiliated to that, to the Sisters of St. Joseph, and we make a promise to the mission and values of the sisters. And there are their own personal needs and the needs of the community at Carondelet Village, and there are needs within the CSJ Ministries Commission, and COVID has taken me away from being even a volunteer at Learning in Style and some of the things I used to do. So to me, I want to give priority, and I know that we all have good organizations in our community and whatever that we do. I do things in Bloomington where I live and work on issues, but I really kind of, I guess to me as a consociate, I like our focus to be with the sisters and what the sisters' identified needs are. I love the idea of the Kenya group about the people that are coming up. I happen to know and love people in the Familia de San Jose in Chile. But anyway, those are, to me, the glue, or part of being this in this member organization, the glue is the CSJs. And to me, that also helps me have that discussion and build my understanding and expression of charism.
Great. And Anne, when did you make your?
I made my commitment in 2014.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, and I'm going to steal a Mary Ann Graham phrase. I think that we can hold the all, right? That these are all fantastic ideas that we can bring to the table, and it doesn't have to be an either or, it can be an all. So thank you. That's awesome. Recommitting to our relationships with the CSJs and how can we be with them as well. Kathleen.
On that note, I have been talking about this with several people on this Zoom, and my dream is to do a cemetery tour. And so I was talking to Michelle Hugh a couple of weeks ago, and there are 4 cemeteries: St. Mary's, Resurrection, Calvary, and then St. Anthony, which has some of the sisters that were in the Spanish-American War. They got some. They're buried there. So I'm looking at a date that we can do a field trip, like they do a sacred sites tour. And I know that as I talked to Michelle, to try to do something on Memorial Day, things are too busy on that day. Oh, yeah. So I'm wanting to do it or trying to plan for it in July. And this would be a larger event than just my ritual and events committee. It's to build the relationships with consociate sisters, all kinds of, to say this is happening, a sacred sites tour of our cemeteries.
Great. I love it. Thank you so much. I know some of us gathered to clean the graves of some of the sisters. Was that Resurrection? Was that the name of that cemetery?
Yes, and I think that can still happen. Again, we did that on Labor Day last year with the impetus of a few people, and lots of folks can't get on their knees any longer, including me, knee replacement people. But, you can clean up the graves. But I'm wanting to do this where we could bring some sisters there. And, I don't want people to have accessibility problems. So,
right. I bring that up because I remember Rita being there and sharing stories of sisters as we passed their graves and just being like, oh my gosh. And I always wanted to do that with Margaret Smith. Wouldn't that have been unbelievable? The storyteller that she was. So thank you for raising that wonderful concrete example. Okay. Who else? And am I missing any hands? Or am I going to call on someone we haven't heard from? Let's see. Rosemary, Marilyn, who haven't we heard from? Rosemary.
I'll go. Thank you. I'm a consociate in 2020. And as people were talking about at the beginning, when they were deciding how to divide up the city, something that I often think about is how those women at the beginning came back together and how they creatively figured out how to relate to each other, that they were crossing some really extreme boundaries of class issues. And that's something for us within our community to look at. to look at the blinders that we have on, the waters that we swim in. We are in a very privileged class. And unless we start to look at that and draw from it the examples of what the sisters did at the beginning, I think we are missing a big part of how we are going to be more inclusive. And I loved what was said about the St. Paul exceptionalism, and also that if we have the context of Catholicism or the context of Christianity, and that is the only context we are looking at, we're missing just a great deal of richness. So.
Excellent point. Thank you so much, Rosemary. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you. Other folks. Margaret, Marilyn, Karen, Mary Louise.
Just, I have 1 minute, 30 seconds here. I have Elmer's glue, I found shoe glue, and I have plastics bonding glue. So I don't know which kind of glue we're looking at to glue us together, but.
We can use all of them. We're all inclusive.
Right. I'll throw in some wood glue and yeah.
Throw in music and dancing and having a few libations together.
There we go. All right. All right. Anyone else want to weigh in on the topic of glue? Oh, what do you got? Tape, Scotch tape. That's right.
Marilyn wants to speak.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I especially like the idea of getting back to somebody to talk things over with. I get emails from many groups I'm with. For instance, you know, that Rise Up St. James group that's a CSJ sponsored down in Baton Rouge. And it would help so much to have somebody to talk to about this. I send out emails and about this and other topics, and people don't reply. And I just, you know, I'm really looking forward to have somebody to talk to about these things, because I want to do something, but it's awfully hard, as Louise says, by yourself. Yeah. And I used to belong to the Human Trafficking Committee, and there's this marvelous play production that a friend of mine sent me. And, you know, I've sent things to the Justice Commission, and I know they're really busy. And you know, like the Indian thing, St. Peter's has a powwow every August. And it would be wonderful if we could invite a lot of people and read our you know, statement, or just ask them if there's anything we can do, because now that Jan Dawson's dead, you know, I had a few connections with some of the people, but they're all died, you know, and I don't really know, you know, because I don't think they know that we care as much as we used to. Well, these like the St. James, Rise Up St. James is really a race issue too, although it's not right here. It's because racism is involved in all these other things. And so I'm just thinking it would really be nice to have, you know, I don't know very many people in Mendota Heights, but I think there's one lady who's now become a consociate, and I've been a consociate since 2002. You know, to have somebody to talk to, because Dot used to be my friend and sounding board, but she doesn't want to do that anymore. So, I mean, because of age, you know, and I'm almost getting too old to do anything either, but.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for raising that. Really good point, Marilyn. Really good point. Rosemary put in the chat that she will give you a call today, just FYI.
Could I speak to that, Donna?
Sure, please.
I think what Marilyn, it's almost a summation of why we are all drawn to the consortium. We're all involved in the charism in the context of our lives. Yet it's very lonely when you're out in the hinterland, even if their hinterland is inner city.
Yeah.
We want community. We want to be able to share and talk at the table with each other. And I think that is, I joined the community for community.
Yeah.
And I think Marilyn really, especially as many of our consociates age, it's really important for us to keep them together and keep them close. That's what I just wanted to say. Thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Sisters die as well. You know, when you mentioned human trafficking and Redmond, I mean, that immediately comes to mind, right? And her leadership in that. So thank you for bringing that up, and thanks, Mary Louise. All right, this has been such a rich conversation. We can't thank you enough for sharing your thoughts and ideas. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jill for our closing, unless there are any final burning thoughts. I don't want anyone to should on themselves after this, saying I should have said, right? So here's your chance. Okay.
Thank you very much, Donna.
You're welcome.
And as a reminder, to help curb those shoulds, I put our contact information in the chat.
Okay.
For us. Please, if you have additional thoughts, if the sisters have thoughts, please share them with us. We will also be getting out another survey. So we look forward to hearing your input on that. And I just want to reiterate that everybody, if the Spirit calls you to this community, regardless of whether you're a candidate or where you are, how long you've been a consociate, you are welcome. You have valuable things to contribute, and we appreciate it and we embrace that. And with all of these wonderful thoughts today, it would be great to look at how we connect with new consociates as well as candidates, because so many of us aren't necessarily getting to know new consociates as they make commitment. So thank you very much. And I will actually turn it over to Peg to close us out.
Before you do that, I want to
Yes.
add one more thing, and that is with this Zoom culture, one thing, and I think it maybe, I don't remember which meeting it came up in, to tell you the truth, somewhere along the line, that for some people it's really hard the way that we end, you know, like, okay, we're going to do our final prayer and then everybody leave. So I invite people to stay as you would like, to be able to just talk, and if that's okay. I don't know logistically if someone, Andrea, if you need to end and we're holding you up, but if people want to just kind of stay and visit and whatever, is that okay, Jill? Does that work?
I think it's the CSJ Zoom link. I think Andrea maybe.
I'll just make you host, and you can stay as long as you want and host folks.
Oh, okay. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Make Donna
will we
host.
be getting a summary of the ideas presented? I'm assuming somebody took notes, or I know many.
Yes. We have a note taker assigned. I believe it's Karen, and then those of us who have us also taking notes will share those. And
Karen, do you have us? You got us?
I gotcha.
All right. Thank you.
And you should know that there is a summary for April that is posted on the forum. And all of the videos for all of these are also posted on the forum. If there's anything you'd like to revisit in the wee hours of the evening, feel free, right?
Okay.
And this summary will go up next week as well. So
Okay.
we are in all ways venturing to be as clear and transparent as possible. So thanks for the question.
Thank you. And thanks for taking such. Okay, Kathleen.
I'm just wondering if, building on this idea that Barbara brought up, between now and next Wednesday, when the next Consociate e-newsletter goes out, there's a lot happening, and maybe people are doing things like, I'm going to go over to Gloria Day parking lot at 12:30 today. Anyway, I'm just wondering if there's a lot of things happening around the George Floyd remembrance.
Yes.
So I don't know how to organize that between now and Wednesday, but it would be great to figure out something, because
Okay.
how do we send this?
Right. Andrea, I wanna follow up on that. And there was a suggestion of reply to all in the, is that gonna be feasible if you wanted to add a note, or is that just gonna get way too overwhelming?
Can I speak to this? I agree. I think this needs a lot of discussion, and not just a beginning of doing it now. I'm not proposing that at all.
Okay.
And I also want to say, in terms of the numbers of emails, sometimes it's hardly any, sometimes it's a lot, but they cluster them by topic. So you could 10 emails just by deleting one on one topic. The other thing is they offer people to get Cyber Coffee Hour emails as they come, or a summary of the day. And I see others nodding. So I think others have experience with this too. So
Okay.
there's different ways of looking at it, and there's different platforms to examine which might be best. So please don't start this right now.
Okay, because we're gonna blame you for it if it goes wrong, right?
Yeah, I agree. Doing a reply all to the email might get a little messy.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
We have our CSJ directory, and we can really call any of us, right? Any of us can call Marilyn. Marilyn, you can call any of us. Kathleen, if you heard Kathleen say something about that you want more information, I think a lot of this stuff, again, is relational. And if we can do some more, instead of trying to kind of be efficient, to be a little bit more relational in it, we may not catch it all, but we can't do it all, so.
Well, and the other thing is Kathleen mentioned it, and so people can reach out to Kathleen, right? If people want the link that I talked about, and it is part of the anniversary of George Floyd on Wednesday, 4 to 6, reach out to me and I'll send you the link. So maybe we can do it that way too. Cheryl's going to another commitment, some other folks as well.
Yeah.
Louise, yes.
So would it be okay if we can go to prayer before we start losing people, and then
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just kind of making sure that we end in prayer. We love to start in prayer, and we like to end in prayer. So thank you.
Well, thank you all very much for participating.